Breslin is planning a jailbreak, and his jailbreak tool is an ordinary milk carton. First, tear open the package and remove the film inside the box. Then, while he was out, he put the film on the combination lock. When the guards enter the code, the guard's fingerprints will be left on it. Finally, he just needs to quietly retrieve the film. The fingerprints left on the film will be arranged according to 24 combinations of numbers. He could easily guess the 4-digit code. There is a small door on the cell door of the confinement cell. All he had to do was to plug the lock hole with a wet paper ball prepared in advance. After the guards leave, he then pushes the door open, enters the code, and opens the door. When he comes out, he rewinds the security camera to 10 minutes ago. At this time, the guards are smoking and chatting on the roof. This is also his observation of the prison staffing pattern in the past few days. Then he finds the fire escape and climbs into the vent. Breslin went to the fire station and changed into his fire suit. Meanwhile, Abigail, his teammate outside, detonates the explosives in the car. When a fire breaks out, the fire trucks are mobilized. Breslin then hangs upside down under the car and follows the fire truck to the scene of the incident. Breslin gets out from underneath the car. He took advantage of the chaos to get into his teammate's car. Breslin successfully escaped from prison. By the time the guards found him, it was already too late. But Breslin wasn't a criminal. He's a master escapee. Breslin was employed by the Federal Security Service. They specialize in testing the most heavily guarded prisons. Each of his escapes is a sign that the prison has a security gap. This allows the prison to strengthen and improve the vulnerability. Breslin's test method was to be put in jail under a false identity and then escaping on his own. In 8 years, he's escaped from 15 prisons. None of the prisons could hold him. Until this day, Jessica from the CIA approached Breslin. She wanted him to test the security of a mysterious prison, a prison filled with prisoners that no country would accept, and they didn't know where it was. Breslin was hesitant because he thought it was dangerous, but his partner agreed to do it for $5 million. He had no choice but to accept the job. His operation was the same as before. They prepared Breslin with a false identity, a contact, and an exit code. Before Breslin left, his colleagues implanted a location receiver in his arm to ensure Breslin's safety. On the day of Breslin's capture, however, the capture was a violent one. They tasered Breslin first, and they acted as if they had prior knowledge. They slashed Breslin's arm with a knife and removed the locator receiver. Then they gave Breslin a shot of anesthetic. He fell asleep instantly. When he woke up again, Breslin saw a warden in a suit. Breslin thought the operation was too dangerous. He didn't want to do the escape experiment, so Breslin says the exit code, but there was no response. It turns out that the warden had already conspired with Breslin's partner. They wanted to keep Breslin locked up in this prison for the rest of his life. It's the most secure prison in the world. The cells are made of transparent tempered glass. This prison is 360 degrees without a dead angle. Even sleeping and going to the bathroom is broadcast live. The cells are all elevated and suspended. The traditional method of digging a hole in the ground to escape from prison is not possible. There are more guards than inmates. They all wear masks to avoid communicating with the prisoners' fornication. Inmates are also monitored by a stalker every day. This doesn't look like a prison. No one can escape from here. Breslin had no choice but to go to the solitary confinement room. And this solitary confinement room is even more exaggerated. Scenes of bathing bars shine so bright that you can't open your eyes. The temperature is as high as 50 degrees. It was even more enjoyable than a sauna. Breslin held back the glare and felt around on the floor. Finally, he found a hole in the prison. It was the steel spike. By now, he had a plan for his escape, but this time he needed help, so he followed the old rule of making friends first. While he was still looking for the right person, Amir came up to him. Amir seemed to see right away that Breslin was no ordinary man. He came up and asked Breslin what he needed help with. When Breslin saw such an enthusiastic man, he didn't hesitate to tell him, "I want a round mill." Amir said this is impossible. "How about I go to the hardware store to show you?" Breslin said, "If you get it, I will take you out of prison." Amir was very excited to hear that he could escape from prison. First, he found a way to get to the interrogation room. Then he went on a rampage, taunting the warden. Angry, the warden called for waterboarding to punish him. They put a hose in his mouth and filled it with water. After a few dowsing seconds, he almost drowned. When he recovers, Amir takes the opportunity to get the sewer lid, which is only available here. He came out and gave the lid to Breslin. Breslin thought the man was cute, so Breslin told him his identity as the master of jailbreak, and Breslin also set his own observation. It turns out that the prison building is all vertical. This also means that it should be built under the ground, and there was a sound of water under the confinement cell. He guessed there must be a conduit. If they open the floor of the cell, they can escape along the conduit, but they needed to get back into the chamber now. So the two men agree on something. Otmar takes the lead and causes a ruckus. Breslin had the bread in his hand, and soon the commotion succeeded in sending them to the brig. Breslin took out a metal piece ground with toothpaste in advance, and then used it to reflect the bright light on the steel nails. The 100-degree heat expands the steelwork by 0.03 cubic centimeters after the nail pops out, and then he used this method to remove the other 3 nails. Then he put the bread in his mouth and pounded the ground to give Otmar a signal. When he received the signal, Otmar started screaming. He draws everyone's attention to him. Breslin blocks the camera with the chewed-up bread. He opens the lid and climbs down. First, he comes to a passage. Then he climbs up the conduit. The exit is right in front of him. Breslin opened the lid with all his strength. He thought he could escape from the prison, but now he was stunned. The prison was not under the ground as Breslin had guessed, but on a cruise ship in the ocean, and the prison was surrounded by a heavy guard. Breslin had no choice but to go back the way he came, although he knew where he was now. But he didn't know which ocean the ship was on. They were stuck in the middle of the ocean. Breslin couldn't figure out what to do. On the other hand, the warden found the steel spikes Breslin had left behind, so he learned of Breslin's intention to escape. So he told his men to torture Breslin. Whenever Breslin was sleeping, the guards would make noise by banging their batons on the glass. As soon as Breslin fell asleep, they went in and woke Breslin up with a bat. This also made him dizzy and dizzy every day. Breslin often reported to the doctor. Even the doctor couldn't bear to see him, but with Otmar's encouragement, he didn't give up. Breslin waited for the ordeal to end and then began to take a closer look. He had a new plan to escape from prison. If you want to escape from this cruise ship prison, you have to know where you are. Every day in prison, Breslin would quietly create an escape kit under the table during meals. A cardboard shell, a ballpoint pen, and 2 eyeglass lenses, and a glass tube. A rudimentary sextant was completed. Through it you can measure the latitude and longitude of the cruise ship, but you had to point it at the sky from the deck in order to conduct the test successfully. Otmar uses his method to recruit a new teammate, Aved, for the prison break team. They asked Aved to use false information in exchange for a chance to go out into the sun. Aved goes to the deck and starts taking bearings with a sextant. Breslin gets the data and then he looks at the counterclockwise direction of the toilet flush. He then deduced that the prison was located in Morocco, in the northern hemisphere, based on the counterclockwise direction of the toilet flush and the humidity and temperature of the wind in the air. Otmar was very excited after hearing. He said, "I have a lot of friends in Morocco. If I tell them, they will come to our rescue without hesitation. But our biggest problem now is how to get the word out." Breslin thought of the kind-hearted doctor. He approached the doctor under the guise of vomiting, and then told him his identity as the master of the prison escape. At first, the doctor didn't want to meddle, but after he verified Breslin's identity, he couldn't just ignore it because of his desire to save others. So he agrees to help Breslin send a distress message to the outside world. Everything was ready. "We'll start tonight." But the warden caught Breslin tapping into Morse code. They deciphered the code. There's going to be a riot in Ward C tomorrow morning, and the warden analyzed that Breslin would break out of prison during the riot. So he sent 3 times the number of troops to guard the C block. But this is actually Breslin's trick to escape. The real riot will take place in Area B. The 2 gangs start to fight each other. The guards' attention is also focused on them. In the confusion, the group takes the opportunity to escape. They climbed up the stairs. If they open the gate, they can get to the deck. However, the gates are electronically locked. Breslin did not hesitate to go to the control room to turn off the power, but this also means that he will be left alone. He had no choice but to do this for his brother. He went to the control room and turned off all the power. Otmar's side did open the gates. He made it to the deck, and the helicopter that was to meet them arrived just in time. However, more and more prison guards appeared. Otmar doesn't leave Breslin alone. He grabbed his machine gun. Otmar showed that look of dominance. He fired a volley of shots, and all the guards fell down. On the other hand, Breslin was surrounded by the warden in the control room. Yushan thinks Breslin is a lamb to the slaughter. He slowly approached the control room without panic, but he searched for a long time but couldn't find Breslin. When his memory gained power, he suddenly heard the sound of automatic flushing. Then he realized he had made a big mistake. It turns out that Breslin was hiding in the water tank. As soon as the power is restored, he would be washed into the ocean. Breslin swam to the surface. Otmar saw him and immediately threw down the escape ladder. At that moment, The warden also came on deck. He saw Breslin on the escape ladder and kept shooting at him. At this very moment of crisis, Otmar threw a pistol to Breslin. Breslin steadily catches it. Breslin fired several shots at the oil drum at the warden's feet. Before the warden could react, he was buried in the explosion. It wasn't long before they were successfully transported to land in Africa. At that moment, a car slowly drove up. Breslin saw that the person sitting in the car was the client who had asked him to escape from the prison. It turns out she was Otmar's daughter. Jessica paid Breslin to come to this prison so that he could help her father complete his escape. No wonder Otmar volunteered to help. It was all planned. When he found out the truth, Breslin was angry and wanted to laugh. Jessica told Breslin on her way out that the man who set Breslin up with the warden was his partner. A few days later, the partner woke up in his car. He was locked in a cramped container and couldn't even open the door. The container is located on a cruise ship in the middle of the endless ocean. You can subscribe and leave comments if you have any ideas. Thanks for watching. See you next time.